Welcome into the Titans Today. I am your host, Brett Alper, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about how Tennessee has been linked to not one, but two former All-Pro wide receivers. Wink, wink, one of them plays in Miami. We're going to break that all down, but before we get into anything, I got to tell you guys to hit that big red sub button and subscribe to the Titans Today. When a rumor hits the fan, like how everything that's been happening with the wide receivers over the past couple days, we're going to make a video. Subscribe to it. The draft is this month. We're officially in April, and we're going to find out who the Titans are going to pick with that number one overall pick. So hit that subscribe button and help us out on the channel. All right. So the first rumor, the first wide receiver that was linked to it was none other than Tyreek Hill. And he just tweeted this out March 30th. He said a little peace sign and then an emoji, and it was kind of like, what is going on here? Well, then later he tweeted out another one, and it was kind of kept talking about, would you want the Titans, or not the Titans, if you wanted Miami to trade Tyreek Hill? And then he quote tweeted that. And then there was another one that said Tyreek Hill reportedly wants out, and they're going to start looking for a trade. And Tyreek Hill quote tweeted that and said, well, another false narrative. Well, after all those rumors that happened, so it's been spiraling. Every team has been like, oh, Tyreek Hill's available for a trade. He didn't have the greatest season in 2024, but he was also hurt half the year. But if he gets back to that, you know he's one of the best wide receivers. So his former assistant general manager and current general manager for the Titans, Mike Borgonzi, he went on Up and Adams with the great Kay Adams, and she asked him straight up, when was the last time you talked to Tyreek Hill? And he said, not trying to say anything. She also asked about the potential trade rumors. She said, probably a few years ago. He's on another team right now, so I can't really talk about him. Tyreek was a great player for us in Kansas City. He was a big part of what we did there. I have a ton of respect for Tyreek, and that was when Adams asked when he last texted Hill. Mike Borgonzi and Tyreek Hill go all the way back to when Tyreek Hill was drafted. Mike Borgonzi was with Kansas City for a long, long, long time, and he was a part of that scouting report that wanted to bring in Tyreek Hill to the Kansas City Chiefs, helping them win a Super Bowl. So you think there's a little bit of a connection there. Could the Titans possibly be able to trade for Tyreek Hill? They have the draft capital, obviously. They have the cap space, so why not do it? Why not be able to bring in a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, get that new quarterback, wink, wink, Cam Ward, a great offensive weapon to pair with Calvin Ridley? But Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins, he went and talked about the Hill trade rumors, saying this: we are fully planning to move forward for a better version of our relationship with Tyreek. Tyreek has been in the building often. Tyreek is known for some antics on social media. We're in a good spot with Tyreek. Now, I will say this: never say never. We never thought the Chiefs were ever going to trade Tyreek Hill. Hell, we can go to the NBA. We never thought the Mavs were going to trade Luka Doncic. This could happen any second. Now, you always just want to die down the rumors just so it's not talked about all the time. Mike McDaniel, he probably thinks, yeah, we're going to keep this on the down low. Do not let this get out that our relationship is completely broken. We saw Tyreek Hill's tweets after the last game of the season, and he pretty much said, peace out. I don't know if that means his future. A lot of people are saying he's played his last game in Miami. I'm not 100% sure, but what I do know is that Tyreek Hill would fix a lot of the Titans' wide receiver problems. You have a deep threat. You have two deep threats. If you put him with Calvin Ridley, it would create such space for Calvin Ridley to not only be a deep threat. Tyreek Hill is also a deep threat. You can go deep. You can go across the middle. It does not matter. I know he's getting up there in age, but still, they want to talk about how he had a decent 2024, not the greatest. Still 81 catches and 959 yards. Coming off a year ago where he almost had 1,800. He was going to break that record. He was going to beat 2,000 yards. I think Tyreek Hill still has a ton of talent left in him. 123 targets. That's not a lot. And if he plays all 17 games like he did last season, I know he was beat up half the year. Also, you know what happened in week 1. That kind of threw off the whole entire season. But he is still a top target and a top wide receiver in this league, and he could be very productive for a guy like Cam Ward coming in to his rookie season. Now I'm going to ask you guys, do you want the Titans to trade for Tyreek Hill? Could be a long shot, but there's always a chance that it could happen. Type T for trade or type P for pass. Now coming up, I did talk about there's 2 wide receivers that have been linked to Tennessee, and the other one plays on the opposite side of the country. We're going to break that all down, but first I got to tell you about the sponsor of today's show, and that is our good friends at Fanatics. And like I said, it is April, draft week, and we got Titans hats. I'm done talking about the hoodies. It's April. It's getting warm out there. You want to go golfing? I always golf, and I always wear a hat, and why not wear one of these stellar hats? It's draft day. You can wear this even past the draft. We got them in white, blue, black. You can get that little guitar logo on them. They look good, and why not support the channel, support your team, chatsports.com/Titans draft hats. If you don't want to type it all out, I don't like typing a whole bunch of stuff out. We're going to put it for you in the comments of today's video. All right, so now the second wide receiver, Brandon Aiyuk, the 49ers wide receiver who also had a down 2024. But Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport suggests that the Titans should trade for 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. Every team's been kind of linked to him. I mean, we go back from last year. He was on the trade block until he signed that contract extension. Gary Davenport said this in his article. Stop yawning and frowning, talking about how much little draft value or what it's going to take to get him. The 49ers got a 5th rounder from the Washington Commanders for Deebo Samuel. Good luck getting significantly more for an injured Aiyuk who's coming off that ACL injury. The Titans aren't going to contend in 2025, so the team can afford to wait for Aiyuk to get healthy, add Aiyuk to Ridley and a potential day 2 rookie pick, and suddenly Tennessee's wideout corpse goes from a major liability to an asset. I'm not going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk's 2024 stats because they were kind of atrocious. But if we go back 2 years to when he was arguably a top 10, top 5 wide receiver in the league, like you could see, 2024, only 7 games played, 25 receptions, but still a 15 yards per catch average. No touchdowns. Go back a year ago, 2016, 2022, 17, 2021, 17 games played. 75, 78, 56. And that has happened when you have Deebo Samuel alongside of you. He is still a productive wide receiver. He had all of those kind of just everything that happened last year, from not going to training camp to getting injured. Once he's healthy, I wouldn't write off Brandon Aiyuk just yet. And this goes all the way back. The Titans, they need a wide receiver. They need to pair somebody with Calvin Ridley. I don't think Treylon Burks is that guy. And they got 1 year left until Mike Borgonzi says, see ya. Aiyuk would boost this wide receiver group. You could bring up the entire Titans depth chart. Your biggest offseason signing so far for wide receiver was Van Jefferson, who hasn't played great since the Rams won the Super Bowl. You got a year left to Treylon Burks, Van Jefferson, and then Calvin Ridley, who I think still can be a great wide receiver. And you put a good quarterback under center, this wide receiver corp with Brandon Aiyuk could go from, like Gary Davenport said, from just mediocre to actually good. So I was looking, what could the trade idea be for Brandon Aiyuk? It's not much at all. You get the wide receiver, and you get a 7th round pick, and all you have to do is get rid of a 2025 round 5 pick. And if you saw the mock drafts that I've done and ESPN has done on this channel, it's only going to be a linebacker. It's not that big of a deal. So I'm hammering. You pick up the phone, Mike Borgonzi, you're saying accept. You take in. All you have to do is get rid of 1 draft pick, and you get to wait for Brandon Aiyuk to be healthy. It's a rebuild. It's not a retool. This is the long-term plan. Long-term. Brandon Aiyuk is not 30 yet. I would accept this in a heartbeat. So I'm going to ask you guys. We've talked about 2 wide receivers today. Tyreek Hill or Brandon Aiyuk. Type TH for Tyreek Hill or type BA, the great initials. BA, Brett Alper. Brandon Aiyuk, type BA for that. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Titans Today. We're bringing you coverage every week of every Titans news, rumors, all things leading up to draft. We're going to have you covered, youtube.com/Titans Today. I'm Brett Alper, and as always, tighten up.